Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought us as an additional species that maybe are similar in skeletons like we're similar now, doesn't mean that evolvement happened, and doesn't mean that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created mankind. The big problem that they have is that they say, oh, the Bible says that it was 5,000 years ago. So the dinosaurs and everything was 5,000. You know, there's so many errors and fabrications in the Old Testament and the New Testament. I can, get all gray, and I'm not going to be done with them. And it's not me, it's the writings of the top textual critics of, of these things. So you cannot scientifically take the Old Testament or today's Bible literally as a credible source of reference. In it, as Prophet Muhammad told us, there's some truth, some verses are correct and true, and some of it are fabrications. You cannot discredit it or credit it.
It's like last two questions.
No, inshallah, I want to answer it. I have no problem. I just want to answer.
Time limit.
Yes.
The sister again.
Yes.
Okay. A Muslim man, if he's married to a person of the book, like a Christian woman,
Yeah.
is he obligated to convert her at any point? And what happens if they have children?
No, he's not obligated as if he would sin لا يأثم يعني, to convert her, but that should be a goal that he works with for her benefit. Obviously, he married to her, he likes her. The best thing that happened to any human being is to become a Muslim. And I would urge all the Muslim brothers, if the brothers come to me and say, you know what, I want her to accept Islam and so on and so forth. Yes, I know a lot of brothers that married Christian and Jewish sisters that actually became devout Muslims later on. Some of them took 30 years to do that. Some of them never accepted Islam, and actually it turned out to be a very bad divorce for him and his kids. What I want to say is that it's an uphill battle. So the path of least resistance is to get married not just a Muslim, but a really devout, good-mannered Muslim lady. Deal with her leniently. Give her the rights that a Muslim woman would have, of with all the inheritance and so on and so forth. Islam for that, then the problem comes with the children. She is the mother of the children as you are, and if she does not accept Islam, then she believes in another ideology. And as a mother, she has the right to impose her ideology the same way that the father imposes his ideology. And before marriage, they would tell you know what, you want to bring him as Muslims, no problem. After marriage, everything. So I totally, it's an uphill battle. If she accepts Islam, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. There's nothing on earth that is physically worth, humr al-na'am, that's the most valuable thing on earth that is worth that you are the cause of one accepted Islam, but it's an uphill battle. So, yes.
I was asked once, say, a Christian, a good Christian, what happens with him, like, in the day of judgment? I didn't know how to answer myself, and I've always thought about that question.
Well, he is in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's two kinds. People who know about Islam, and actually were presented with the fact of Islam and decided intentionally not to believe in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though I know people that, I know priests that I deal with, they know that Islam is the truth. And actually when they have problems, they come sit next to me in interfaith meetings and ask me questions that I know they ask it for their own selves. But for them, their job is to be a priest or a rabbi, and it's totally separate issues. So if they intentionally do not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then whatever the promise of the Quran, Allah will be applied upon them. It's not me to decide, it's not me to predict, it's up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that has nothing to do with it. If people did not know about Islam, or actually were sincerely deceived into thinking that Islam is a religion of oppression and violence and so on and so forth, because they were misinformed, and based on that they did not accept Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive them because they were deceived and they were misled. But at the end of the day, right or left, we are not to judge what's in people's hearts, their faith, or what happened to them. That is up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can judge an ideology, but we cannot judge people.
Good.
My question is, if you can you please explain what is meant by the slaves that the right hand possesses?
All right. ما ملكت أيمانكم. Very simple, because it's a big topic. What happens if, through some accident, some kids become orphans? The parents are not there and they're on their own and no one to sponsor. What happens in the most civilized countries in the world? What happens in America? We find foster parents for them. What happens? We give them to parents who would give them their rights as children, and by that they fulfill their need to be parents for these children. And by that we guarantee a safe environment for these helpless, lives to grow in and prosper till they become 18 years old or 21 years old, and then they can choose whichever house they want to live in and become their own individuals. Exactly the same thing. At the time of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, they go to battle, infidels fighting them, infidels are defeated, most of the men are killed, now they have wives left behind or daughters left behind. What's to happen with them? If you leave them in the desert, they're going to be killed, prostituted, preyed upon, or starved to death. If you're just going to take him and leave him in Medina, where the Muslims are, and have nothing to do with them, and let him, you are forcing him to steal and cheat and to prostitution just to survive. So what happened? You find foster husbands for them. A Muslim man who can financially be able to carry the responsibility of an additional woman, an additional companion, but not given the title of a wife. Why? Because of inheritance rights. And they're not Muslims. And you're not obligating and forcing them, and this is very important, you're not forcing them to accept Islam. They're wives. Not the title of wife, but they're treated exactly like wives. They live in the same living standard, they have the same food and clothes and everything, and their children are legitimate children named after that man. And the man's reputation is up to their behavior. Till they give birth to a child, then they reach that level of maturity, as if for the foster kids, they can choose to leave or not, or they can become wives after they accept Islam, without forcing them to accept Islam. In Sahih al-Bukhari, and this is the middle of the 7th century, Prophet Muhammad says, "Man kana indahu jariya," like one of these ladies. فَعَلَّمَهَا أَدَّبَهَا فَأَحْسَنَ تَأْدِيبَهَا.